Well, I've got RR here with me to start off one of our first interviews with this new process that we're doing.
Yes, sir.
RR, hey, awesome to have you.
Dude. Yeah, thanks for having me. I feel honored that you trust me to be one of the first one to be
Yeah.
the guinea pig. I'm honored.
Yeah. So we may have to, I don't know. I'm going to mess up quite a few times throughout this and we'll figure it out as we go. But, well, one
That's
of the
life.
reasons why
Isn't that
I'm
life? Kidding.
right, right. And who knows, this might come up in our discussion here. That's just building business too, right? So,
Exactly. We're all just trying to figure it out.
right, right. Yeah. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you is we've talked many times. You've got a cool story. You've got an awesome product, which we're going to get into in a little bit. We've had multiple conversations, some similarities, and I just thought, man, you'd be a great one to have. So glad to have you as the first.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about me. I've always been a big admirer of your work and the company that you built, right? The business that you built and how you've been helping churches. So just honestly, I think it's really cool that I get to start being in some of the same rooms and circles as some legends.
Yeah, yeah. Well, cool. Thanks. What I want to do in our discussion is really just talk about who you are and your history as much as you want to get into your history and how that leads up to Church Canvas, your latest project that you're working on. And love to hear more about the whole, not just what it is and what you're doing, but how you led up to that and why you built it and what you're learning along the way, all that. So yeah, ready to talk
Yeah.
about it?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll just get it right into it. So my
Yeah.
name is RR. And like we talked beforehand, yes, it is RR. For Rudolph Ryan. I'm a kid. I grew up in the Philippines till I was about 11 years old, and I migrated here to America. My family migrated here actually because my dad wanted to reach his brothers and parents to Christ, because so he wanted to essentially go to America, start a church with the hopes of reaching his brothers and sisters, and also his parents, because they're devout Catholics, so he wanted to reach them. And I got saved in the Philippines, and we were faithful members of churches in the Philippines. And so we went to America. My dad went to Bible college over here in America, and I went to high school here in America. And then my dad started a church in LA area, Carson specifically. And the reason why, now I'm the founder of Church Canvas, which is an AI design tool for churches and pastors. And I feel like my upbringing is literally all a conglomeration of why this tool exists, right? Because I live in the intersection of faith and ministry, which is a hardcore part of my life and still is. And then also technology, and even design as well. Combining the aspects of ministry, technology, and design, which brought about Church Canvas. I grew up in I went to high school here. Then eventually I went to Bible college, and I really was just really had the goal of being in the ministry, which I still am in the ministry. And really started out when I was a teenager. My dad started a church, like I said, and I learned graphic design at a very young age when I was a teenager. My dad. My dad used to always copy these church tracks. And how he would make church tracks, he would literally cut and paste. So not like in a computer cut and paste, but actually cut out images, cut out stuff, and cut out letters, and put it on a piece of paper. And he would photocopy it on like a green or yellow piece of paper. And those were our first church invitations, right? Those were our postcards. It literally says it was a picture of a guy going like this, and it says, "Stop, you're going to hell." Like that was our church tract. It's just black and white on a yellow piece of paper, and he folded it, and that was our church tracts. And I was like, well, I think we could start giving out better designs. I would see other churches with better designs. I was like, we need better designs for our church. And so I learned, I looked up how to do designs, and it brought out Adobe Photoshop. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to learn this tool. Learn Photoshop. I downloaded a bootleg version of Photoshop, how we all did as kids, right? It's crazy how the bootleg Photoshop, those people, can I just stop and say, the people that bootleg Photoshop, you are like direct contributors to the success of many, many people all around the world. Yeah, like I remember I had this thing called Photoshop Portable. Did you ever play Photoshop when you were a teenager or younger, Corey?
No, I never got
Dude,
into.
there was this amazing thing. I know now it doesn't sound amazing because Photoshop needs to be something you install, right, on your computer. But we had this thing called Photoshop Portable, where you could put Photoshop on a USB and literally have Photoshop everywhere you go. I know now it's like easy because online,
Yeah.
but this was before SaaS, right? So I can use Photoshop on any computer with that USB. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, Photoshop Portable, like I don't know, are there gonna be comments or whatever? But like put it below.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I learned, Photoshop. I just looked up tutorials on Google and how to do this. Shout
Mm.
out to psdtuts.com. That was the PSD tutorials. And then learn how to make church tracks, learn how
Huh.
to make postcards for our church and designs for our church.
So when did you make that first one? Where are we at in the timeline here?
Oh, dude, my first one was when I was 16 years old. No, I was 15. I was 15 years old. First, I actually made a track through Publisher, Microsoft Publisher. It was just a church, a picture of like the front of our church, and like 30 people standing in front, because that was like how many people in our church was. And it says like you're invited, and it had the church information. When you open it, had the church information in the front. Then eventually, I was making like year like themes for the year and all that stuff. So around I graduated high school, went to Bible college. And I went to Bible college solely for the ministry, right? Really just went for the purpose of learning ministry, wanted to come back and be youth pastor, lead worship and music at our church. And that's it. My seminar, the Bible college I went to at the time was actually in Silicon Valley. It was at San Jose, Santa Clara. So I was because the Bible college was there, I was kind of in the tech world a little bit, right?
Yep.
Even when I was in college, I worked at Google. I know it sounds like, wow, cool job. It was a very like one of those like contractor type, manual labor type jobs, but I was in the Google campus
Cool.
because that was like the time there. And so after that, I went to the ministry, was focused on ministry, and then I eventually became a pastor. I started learning web design really with the same purpose as well, because I wanted to create a website for our church. We're like, hey, websites are the thing. People need to, people hear about your church, they go to your website. And we didn't have a website. So I made a website for our church. I asked someone, how do you make websites? And they said, well, you need to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Or HTML, CSS, what they said. And I was like, they didn't even bring me to WordPress or Squarespace or nothing. They said, learn code. I said, okay, I'll learn code. And so I just looked up once again tutorials on YouTube and Google, how do you write HTML, how to write CSS. Then I made a website for a church. And this is all while I was kind of serving in the ministry as a pastor. Now, a lot of people, some people saw the website, said, hey, can you make a website for our church? I was like, okay, sure. And then around 2018, I was pastoring a church. And then it came to a point in my life, like I love the ministry, but especially living in LA doesn't really provide, the most pay, right? My wife at the time, we had a 6-month-old daughter, and my wife was pregnant at the time. Eventually, some things happened because of finances. We had to move back to my parents' house, and so I was there as a father, living with my parents in a 1-bedroom my parents' house with a pregnant wife and a 6-month-old daughter.
Hmm.
And so, I was like, I need to figure something out. And so that was when I decided to dive into, hey, I know web design. So I literally Googled how to make money doing websites. And I got to the industry of really being a freelance web designer. That eventually landed me a job. I was able to earn income that year, 2020. That landed me a job in tech. So I worked in tech for about 2 years. Ended up working at a place called Tidely, which is a church tech company, a church giving platform. Learned a lot there. Loved my time there. Loved my team there. And then eventually I quit Tidely and focused on my web design agency, and also launched Church Canvas. A couple of friends of mine who are also at the same story. It's funny, the couple of friends of mine that started Church Canvas, we all grew up in the Philippines. We were all kids in the Philippines playing in the streets. For some reason, our families migrated to America at the same time. We all ended up going to the same church. We all ended up going to the same Bible college, and we all ended up working in tech in different capacities, right?
Crazy.
Product design, engineering, and then me in marketing design. And so we kind of took our skills, and then one of my friends said, hey, I built this thing with AI. You think you guys can use it for your church? You think it'll be used for your church? And then I used it for our church, and it was like, dude, this is amazing. Why don't we like figure this out, package it, and see if other churches want to use it? And this was literally February last year, 2025. He gave us the first look at it on February 2025, and then we literally made a plan in about a month, finished the product, and then launched it March 2025. So it's actually 1 year ago this
1 year.
this month.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, so get back up just a little bit. So you sped through a whole lot there. And I'm curious, when
Yeah.
you had this moment where you had to go back and live with your parents, the first thing you did was start something your own. You taught yourself how to write code rather than going to get a full-time job. Did I hear that right?
No, that's a good question. So even before that, I was already doing a lot of stuff, right? before I even had kids, my wife and I first got married, I was doing everything I can just to go get by. I had a CDL, a driver's license, because we had a bus ministry at a church, so I had a bus license. So because of that, I was actually driving shuttles in LAX and also driving limos on the weekends. All of this while working full time in the ministry. We had a Christian school,
Okay.
and I would be teaching and working in our school from like 9 till 3 or 4, go home to sleep, and then I would work at LAX, our airport here, and drive, those shuttles that take you from your terminal to your car to your
Yep.
parking lot.
Yep.
I drove those shuttles, and I would drive it from 10 p.m. up until 5 a.m. And then on the
Wow.
weekends, like on
Yeah.
Friday nights or Saturday nights, yeah, I would drive limos for like parties and stuff like
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
weddings and events and stuff, just to get by. And all that at the same time, I was learning how to code. I was learning HTML and CSS. My wife at that time was an assistant manager at a boba shop, and I would work at the coffee shop next door until she would get off sometime. Like whenever I'm not working at LAX, I would work
Yeah.
there. I would literally learn code and be on my computer until she got off work.
And had a newborn.
No, I learned all that before I had a newborn.
Okay, right before you had a newborn. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I was
But
already kind of like, yeah, but I was honing my skills. I was at the time when I had a newborn, I was doing a little bit of freelancing here and there for a company. I was getting paid hourly, not much at all.
yeah.
I've been working from like from my bed. There was actually a point in my life where I was actually applying for a job, and it was a job that I applied for, and I thought it was like the perfect blend of my experience. It was for a web engineer for a church tech company. Right, I'm not gonna name the church tech company. Sermon Shots. No, I'm just kidding. No, it wasn't Sermon Shots. And it said like HTML, knows HTML, knows CSS, and has ministry experience. I was like, yo, this is like literally me. And I thought this is the perfect job for me. At the time, I'll tell you, the salary was like $60,000, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, at the time, I was like, this is a dream job. This is amazing. I applied for it. I got through like 3 or 4 interviews. I was so sure I was going to get it. I was sure this was God's will for my life. And then I got an email. I was actually on my way to church because I worked there every day. I was on my way to church, and I got an email that they decided it was literally in the top 2, and they decided to go with the other person. And I remember I just parked, I pulled over. I was just so fed up. I was like, I was angry at God for a bit. I was just mad. I was punching the cereal. I was cursing. I was like, I was just like, I didn't know what to do. But of course, I'm not just gonna stay there, right? I mean, I have a family to take care of. So I just like, I'll figure this out. And that was actually the time, the year after that. This was 2019, and in 2020 was the year I became a freelancer. I went full-time freelance web designing, web development, and just learn how to hone my craft there and become a better business person as well. So that year I earned $100,000 in 2020 during COVID. Got a job, got an offer by a company called Webflow the year after. And then, yeah, ironically, because I have a web design agency, so around like 2 years ago, the same company that I applied for that rejected me for a job actually reached out to my agency if we could do their website,
That's cool.
and our price was too high.
So you lost a $60,000 a year job and ended up going on your own and making $100,000
The year after, yeah.
the year after. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now looking back, you can be like, I'm so glad I didn't get that job. I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
In the moment, I'm sure that didn't feel so great, but
Oh, in the
that's
moment,
cool.
it was devastating.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Let's talk a little bit more church canvas. So you said already 1 year, awesome. You told us that how it kind of got started there. What was next? Once you decided this is what we're doing, what was next? How did it progress?
Yeah, well, once we decided we're gonna do this, that's when I actually quit my job at a Tidely. And I was like, well, obviously I got to go all in on this. But I had my web design agency on the side, so that was kind of like my safety net. And then we launched March, and then the goal was, of course, just improving the product. We launched actually at a conference. We were at a small pastors conference just to kind of launch the thing. We got an influx of users. The goal was to grow the users and also listen to what our users were saying. What do they need on a regular basis? It was a little easier to do this because like I myself am a pastor still right now. Like this is actually one of those rare days I did not go to church today. But usually you'd be probably talking to me about I'm a church. So I know the everyday needs of our church. So I know what a pastor needs, especially usually, and our demographic is honestly not like big churches. And probably same with you, because big churches have a team.
Yep.
that can do all this. Our demographic are like church planners, small churches, medium-sized churches. You know, they have a pastor, they have a youth pastor that literally does everything, right?
Yep.
And I know that because that was me. I was a youth pastor that literally does everything.
Yep.
You know, and just
And
because the youth
luckily,
pastor's young, they're doing all the graphics.
yeah, yeah. And luckily that demographic is most churches, right? Like most churches
Exactly.
are
Most churches
large
are that
churches.
demographic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like my church right now. My church only runs around 200 people, you know,
Yep.
maybe less. And so luckily I have a lot of friends I talk to and they tried it and they love it. And so we're just kind of improving the product as we go, improving how we can as much as possible try to, you know, give pastors their time back so they're not spending hours on Photoshop like I was and spending hours, you know, designing for like just to remind people about the men's breakfast on Saturday. You know what I mean? And so just try working on ways to improve that and then really growing it, telling more people about it, growing our social media. That was a big one, our Instagram.
That's
So
one thing that can be really difficult early on in a project like this is knowing like should I go all in on this or not. So you're
mhm.
saying that you I mean, I would pretty much say quitting your job is all in. What was the like thing that made you feel like quitting my job is the right move here, or at least got you thinking about it? Was it a certain number of subscribers? Was it reaching like the number of like great responses you were getting? What was
Mhm.
it that was like, this is it?
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna get probably ultra spiritual here, being the pastor. I
Go
don't
for
like
it.
when pastors say, "I don't mean to get spiritual," but like, dude, we're literally in the spiritual business.
Right, right.
It was honestly a step of faith, and even right now,
Mm.
am I sure that I made the right decision? I have no idea. It was only a year ago. We're still trying to find out,
That's
right? I'm still on that journey of figuring that out.
oh yeah.
But it was a step of faith, right? Just like how the Bible calls us to launch out into the deep. It was a step of faith, but of course, it wasn't blind faith either. I have my web design agency that I built that was already kind of giving me income there. So there was that safety net, right?
Mhm.
I was serving at my church, so I have a little bit of salary there. So I have that safety net. And so I'm not like going in blind faith because I mean, if maybe I were single, I'd just be like all in. But of course, I have a wife, I have kids to take care of. I just had my third child 2 months ago. I gotta, you know, take care of them, right? So, but still, it's an element of faith. Prayed about it. It really did pray about it. I prayed with my wife about it. And then I saw it as an opportunity, number one, because I'm quitting my full time job and I'm a little bit more independent. I have more time to give for the ministry. I have more time to give God, you know, serving his people. And then, like I said, the potential here is much more, right? And so it's literally just like I had to make a decision. I mean, it's either like the numbers aren't always gonna, like, not the stars aren't gonna align perfectly. And that's what faith is, right? There's never going to be no fear. You know, faith is stepping into the unknown. And so really it was just a step of faith and a step of faith that I'm still trying to figure out up until now.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. I think honestly, I think most founders would say the same thing, no matter how far along they are. At least I do. Like, still hope that I'm doing the right thing, right? All along
Yeah,
the way.
exactly.
I would say the times I've been most at peace is what you're saying. It's like when I have clear direction from God, like that's where I'm supposed to go. That's super simple. Then it's like,
Yeah,
all right, that's it. Really easy. It doesn't always have to like make complete sense. Like,
exactly.
I hit my goal of getting to 10,000 a month, you know, whatever, all those things. What trumps all that is you hear from God that that's what you're supposed to
Yeah,
do. Makes total sense.
exactly. Trusting God.
Yeah. But it's not always that simple either, right? I mean, it's the faith part
Yeah,
of
of course. Of
is actually
course.
doing it.
Faith without works is dead.
Right, right. I will say that some of my best ideas, or at least things that I feel like have gotten me to where I'm at, aren't or never really my
Hmm.
ideas. So I've heard anytime I feel really great about the direction, is heard from God that that's what I'm supposed to do. Where'd you go from there after making this big sort of life change, this faith step? What happened from there?
Yeah, so I quit Tidely around February, and we just spent all of that month planning, you know, finishing up the product, getting it ready. I was talking to pastor friends of mine who I gave kind of access to, and then kind of formed a launch strategy. You know, benefit that I own a web design agency is that we knew websites, so we knew SEO and all that stuff. So we kind of took care of that ourselves. Launched the product first week of March, and then just went full in, right? Just trying to grow it. You know, we launched at a conference. reached out to my network, so my personal network. Being that a pastor, I'm a pastor myself, so I, posted about it on my Instagram, on Facebook, and all that stuff, and just told people about it, and really just try to reach as much pastors as we can, just to help them save time, and they can, be able to save time every week on designs by utilizing AI. That's really the goal of Church Canvas. And we also kind of identified Instagram as kind of our main platform. So we're growing our Instagram. We're currently at 15,000 followers on Instagram.
Nice.
And one thing that we did with that is, one thing that I know is ministry. I know the ins and outs of ministry. I know what ministry life, and I know what pastors and ministry people are going through on a day-to-day basis, being that I lived it and am currently living it myself. And then also one thing with us is, like, we like humor. Filipinos love being funny, and we love laughing. So we use humor actually as a method of growth. And we had a lot of hits that went viral, just posting about ministry life, and and all that stuff on our Instagram, and that grew it. And yeah, so Church Camp is growing, on a day to day basis, is getting users here and there, and it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. It seems to make sense. Instagram's a very visual social media, right? Thing, with Church Canvas being very visual. I've seen
Yes,
some of your,
exactly.
yeah, and I've seen some of your posts, the funny ones. They are good. They're great. I can see why they can be very engaging, and
Good,
why
good.
why people would want to follow you guys. Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
funny. Our thing is, like, it's both a product, a page to promote Church Canvas, but it's also like a meme page, church comedy page.
yeah. So are you seeing a bunch of your users come from Instagram? Are you seeing that be a great place to get leads?
Good question. As far as converting to actual, like, users that end up being like long-term users where
Hmm.
they use it more and more, we're still figuring that out. Now we do get a lot of signups from Instagram. Especially we
Yeah.
see that whenever we have a hit, whenever we have a reel that goes viral, right? We have a reel that goes, like, there was one day where I had a reel that just went bananas. Like, it went, like, it's at like 2.5 or 3 million views.
Mm.
It was actually, it was cool. It's a combination of comedy and also graphics, because last year May the 4th was on a Sunday, right? And so May the 4th, May the Star
Yep.
Wars Day,
Yep.
as people call
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So we made a bunch of Star Wars sermons. So we used kind of like, we just took Star Wars titles and made sermon titles, and then made sermon graphics using
Nice.
Star Wars sermon titles, right? And then that went pretty viral. So, like, though, during that week, we were getting, like, dude, like 100 new users per day
Mm.
just signing up for Church Canvas.
Nice.
But as far as actually, like, converting into, no, they're converting users, right? But to actually, like, using it even up to now on a day-to-day basis for their ministry, we're still trying to figure out. The highest still is Google, right? Google's still the highest.
Mm.
ChatGPT is actually a pretty high one. We get recommended by ChatGPT. We're starting
Nice.
to get recommended more and more by ChatGPT, and then a lot of those people convert. So we're seeing that more and more, but we just, we see that Facebook and Instagram is a place where, as far as social media, a place a lot of pastors spend time with. Not They don't really spend that much time on Twitter or LinkedIn. They spend a lot of time on Facebook or Instagram. That's where a lot of church people spend time on. A little bit of TikTok as well, more of the younger generation. So we're just kind of posting there and having fun with it.
Yeah. Cool. What's the next big thing you got to figure out in Church Canvas? Is it a feature? Is it marketing? What is it?
Great question. Now, I mean, as far as, like, so our Church Canvas is on like a freemium model. You and I have had, like, many
Okay.
conversations
Yep.
about
Yep.
this. We have like 10,000 users, right? More than 10,
Wow.
almost 10,000 users now. And
Great.
now,
One
as
year.
far as,
Ten
in
thousand.
1 year, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
10,000
That's no
users.
small feat.
So
Great work. Yeah. Go ahead.
thank
Sorry.
you, thank you. And now we're just trying to figure out what those 10,000 users need, right? A small percentage of them are actually converting into utilizing all the features that Church Canvas has. And of course, getting into becoming paid users transparently, right? Software, we want people to become paid users so that they can use more and more. It's just how it
Yeah.
works, I mean, it's a business at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to figure out what features pretty much get people to that aha moment. How people can, like, oh, okay. I think one problem that we have, and I think I'm actually just in my game plan today to record some videos, is to create tutorial videos on how people can really utilize Church Canvas, because we're seeing that it's a really powerful tool, and we use it a certain way. I use it a certain way, but not a lot of people are utilizing it to its fullest extent, to its full potential. So we need to create videos to teach people how to use Church Canvas, how to do this, how to create this, how to do that, and then some tips and tricks with Church Canvas because it's a kind of a platform that can do that. And then as far as the product itself, of course, what's cool with AI products is that, and you probably experience this too, as AI, the technology itself improves, our product improves as well, right? Especially in our area of image generation. At first, when we first launched Search Canvas last year, we saw a ton of like text hallucinations and image hallucinations. Now, with AI, it's still going to exist, but we're seeing it much less and less now. And then people are now able to generate even more like text and all these AI models. And then the next step is trying to figure out just more of what churches need, trying to build this out even more. We actually just sent out a survey to our users, like what is one feature that you wish Church Canvas had. So we're seeing a lot of good feedback from there as far as like editing, editing after a graphic has been generated, just being able to edit it more. Being able to edit text more, add logos, add images, things on the particular graphic. And then eventually we've talked about things like video. We've talked about other ways we can kind of integrate Church Canvas into other types of products, whether it be church newsletters or church social media. A lot of great products out there and then we're looking into ways how they can utilize, Church Canvas, kind of combine those efforts and just help pastors even more.
Cool. I would imagine there's a similarity there with Sermon Shots, which is it's a very visual product, and I don't mean in terms of like you're making visuals as much as it's just like seeing it in action is way more valuable than the idea in your head of what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I would imagine that getting people on. Do you do demos? Do you personally do them? Does somebody on your team do them?
I have them. I actually do them. Like if you sign up, you can have an option to book a call with me, and where I
Yeah.
would do a demo with people. Yeah.
Okay. What about ahead of time? So like somebody's thinking about using Church Canvas. You use it more as a sales process. Do you do that at all?
No, I haven't done it because like right now our sign up process is just you sign up for free.
Or I wonder if you like some of the people that have signed up for free and haven't used it. If maybe it's just like that, not quite sure what to do next. If maybe just a quick
Yeah,
10-minute
exactly.
call with you would get them over the hump.
Yeah, we talked about that. I've sent emails out, hey, you want to book a call with me? Let's do
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got out some calls to show them Church Canvas, and usually those turn out really well.
Yeah.
So that's why we want to create like those videos. We want to create an onboarding flow. I think that's very important, which
Yeah.
we still need to work on. But at the end of the day, like us, so there's about 3 of us that are co-founders of Church Canvas. At the end of the day, like we're all people who work at a church.
Yep. Yep.
We're not,
Absolutely.
we're kind of just like this is something that we're just kind of doing. We're figuring it out as we go. We all have, like, for example, this year. So one co-founder had a new baby in December. I had a new baby in January, and then the other one is having a new baby literally anytime now this month.
Yeah. Yeah.
So life kind of gets in the way a bit.
Yep. Last thing. What's one thing you want to tell people about Church Canvas or about you, where they can find out more?
Yeah, I mean, I encourage people, of course, follow us on Instagram, Church Canvas AI. And I guess one thing I can say about Church Canvas is that one of our goal is never to like replace the graphic designer or designers of church. I'm a creative at heart, and I am also concerned about the growing trend of like AI replacing graphic designers and things like that. That's never been our goal. The goal of Church Canvas is to not necessarily to hamper creativity, but to save creativity for where creativity truly matters. For example, I have a young lady at my church who's really into creating graphics, and she's about to get married to one of the young men in our church, actually one of our staff members at our church. She's really into graphics. I was talking to her today, like, hey, would love for you to help, what to think about helping more in our church with graphics. I see the stuff you're creating. I think it's really good. I think it looks really great. What do you think? And she said, oh, well, I thought we didn't need it because, we have Church Canvas because our church uses Church Canvas, right? I thought because we had that. I'm like, yeah, we have that. We utilize it, but we still need creatives for like the bigger projects. For example, what's cool with Church Canvas is that like people in our sound booth, right? We have like these young people that help in our sound booth. They're able to make like the sermon graphics, the announcement graphics, and things like that. They're right off the fly, which is it's cool because God is able to use them, and they have an avenue to serve God this way. And just really the reality of it, right? Sometimes we get boggled down with all these graphic design needs, and some of them are going to be slides that are going to be shown for like what 5 minutes. For example, we need a youth activity graphic for youth activity we're having tonight actually, which is bowling. But then we started our youth pastor just kind of started planning on it like last week, and so we need a graphic. So this graphic is going to be shown in like what 2 services for like 5 minutes max.
Yeah.
Not 5 minutes, sorry, like 30 seconds max, right?
Right.
While he's talking about it. So there's no, it's kind of a waste of time to spend hours on that, right? On that graphic. And so he was able to generate just a really nice graphic, which is really memorable for that, for the youth activity.
Mhm.
But then I was telling this young lady, I said, yeah, I know that we have church canvas, but then we also, hey, we need like graphic design help. For example, like our church needs a rebrand. Our church needs a new logo. I think it's time for our church to need a new logo, need a new rebrand. We need you for that, right? We need you to be creative. We need creatives for that. I'm all for being creative. I mean, God is the ultimate creative, right? He's the creator. And so one thing I want to say about Church Canvas is that we're not there to replace a graphic designer. We're there to save your creativity for the ones that are really important. Not like a quick graphic so that you can remind people that there's no service tonight because of snow in your neighborhood, right? That's the one thing actually. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here. One of the light bulb moments that we had when we were launching Church Canvas was that it was actually during the time last year, February, while we were still planning our Church Canvas. There was a time, I don't know if you remember here in LA, we had the fires in the Pacific Palisades, right?
Yep.
And air quality was really bad. Air quality, they advised everyone to stay indoors because air quality outside was so bad with ash flying around everywhere. And we our church is very traditional. We have midweek service and stuff. So we were supposed to have midweek service that night. And then I asked someone who helps with our socials. She has no graphic design experience whatsoever. We're like, hey, can you post on Instagram that we don't have church tonight because of the air quality, and pray for the Pacific Palisades fires. I said, how do I do that? I said, oh, try this. And I gave her a link, and it was like a secret link to Church Canvas. And then she created one real quick in like a couple seconds. It's like, what in the world? And she posted it real quick. You know what I mean? That's really what Church Canvas is for. It saves, and we've seen it actually. We just put a survey. What most people are using Church Canvas for? Sunday slides, event announcements, not the main graphic design needs, but like just the things that they need, the weekly design needs they have. And we put out a survey. Average is people are saving 5 to 10 hours a week. Pastors, busy church leaders are saving 5 to 10 hours a week just on design because of Church Canvas. So that's a win for us, and that's really what we're all about. We're helping those who are pastors and busy church leaders, busy church staff to save their creativity for the most important things, and then also not spend too much time on like a Saturday night designing a sermon slide, right? They can utilize that time to spend more time with their family, spend more time with their kids, visit more people, visit those who are sick, really save time for ministry, which is people.
Cool. Thanks for sharing your story. This is great.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for doing what you do. Church Canvas really is great. Good work. And
Thank you.
Can't
Thank
wait
you.
to see where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to see you missional. Hi.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Missional AI. I'll be there in a few weeks. You're going to be there too?
Yep. I'll be there.
Awesome. That's going to be a good time. Can't wait.
Yeah. I'll see you there.
All right. See you, man.